I'm just keeping my options open," she announced while swiping through dating apps at breakfast. "Smart," I said. "Took the day off work, moved all my stuff to storage, broke the lease." She came home to an empty apartment and a text. "Kept my options open too. Chose the option without you." Hey viewers, before we get into the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you'd like to see more stories like this. Thanks. The morning sun streamed through the blinds, casting warm stripes across the kitchen counter. I loved this time of day. The quiet hum of the city coming to life, the rich aroma of freshly ground coffee, the simple comfort of the routine. I was scrambling eggs, their gentle sizzle filling our tidy apartment with a familiar, comforting sound. Chloe was already sitting at the small wooden table, completely absorbed in her phone. Typical. I didn't think much of it. I poured 2 mugs of coffee, adding a splash of oat milk to hers just the way she liked it. Carrying them over, I placed one in front of her. She didn't even look up. Her thumb moved in a steady rhythm. Swipe up, pause, swipe down, up, pause, down. "Anything interesting going on in the world?" I asked as I settled into the chair across from her with my own mug. "Just keeping my options open," she replied flatly, never taking her eyes off the screen. The words lingered in the air, refusing to make sense. They felt so out of place, so disconnected from the quiet scene of our breakfast, that my mind struggled to find the right context. "Financial options? Career options? Your options?" I asked, carefully keeping my voice neutral. She finally looked up. A faint, condescending smile spread across her face. It wasn't warm. It was the kind of smile someone gives a child who has asked an obviously foolish question. "Yeah, she said with a lazy shrug. "On Bumble. It's not a big deal. It's healthy to see what's out there." She turned her phone toward me. "You should try it." The world didn't explode. It didn't shatter. It simply froze. The sizzle of the eggs faded into the distance. The morning light suddenly felt too bright, too harsh. On the screen was a grid of men. Smiling men. Shirtless men. Men holding fish. Men standing on mountaintops. A digital meat market. And at the top was her profile. Her beautiful familiar face. Active. She was swiping through other men, while I stood there making her coffee in the home we shared. My heart didn't break. It turned to ice. The warmth I had felt only moments earlier hardened into a cold weight in my chest. This wasn't some secret I had uncovered. It was a policy she was calmly announcing. I wasn't her partner. I was her placeholder, her default setting, and she was openly shopping for an upgrade right in front of me. The humiliation was so complete, so overwhelming, that it became strangely peaceful. I looked from the phone, to her face, then back again. From the parade of strangers, to the woman I had loved for 3 years. I saw the challenge in her eyes. She was waiting for my reaction, waiting for anger, waiting for questions, waiting for me to beg. She was ready for drama. She knew she could win. So, I gave her nothing. I held her gaze in silence, my expression unreadable. I let her see none of the pain she expected, only the quiet calculation beginning behind my eyes. Then I nodded slowly. "Smart," I said, my voice calm and steady. Her smug smile widened, mistaking my composure for surrender. "Right," she said, turning the phone back toward herself. "It's just being pragmatic." "Exactly," I replied as I stood. The eggs had gone cold. I didn't care. Pragmatic. I walked to the sink and dumped the untouched food into the disposal. The grinding sound echoed through the kitchen with a strange satisfaction. I picked up my keys from the bowl beside the door. "I'm going to be late," I said without looking back. Then I walked out, closing the door gently behind me. I didn't slam it. There was no dramatic burst of anger. Only the quiet, unmistakable click of a door closing on one life, and silently opening another. The how and why no longer mattered. Only what came next. And I already knew. The door clicked shut behind me, sealing away the sound of the disposal, the smell of cold eggs, and the woman who had just become a stranger. The hallway was silent. My footsteps echoed across the linoleum, naturally loud against the ringing stillness inside my head. I walked past my car without even slowing down. Instead, I continued toward a small park that was usually empty at this hour. I needed air that wasn't shared with her. Sat on a cold bench, the iron pressing through my trousers, and watched one squirrel chase another around an oak tree. My thoughts weren't racing. For the first time that morning, they were perfectly, terrifyingly clear. It felt as though a switch had been flipped. The part of me that loved her, the part that felt hurt, the part that wanted to scream, to break things. That part had been locked inside a soundproof box, and dropped into a deep, dark lake. What remained was cold, practical, an engine, an operator, The first call I made was to my boss, David. David, it's Leo, I said, my voice calm and professional. I have a family emergency. I need to take today off. Possibly the rest of the week. There was a brief pause. I was never the kind of person who called in sick. Everything okay, Leo? You sound sharp. It's under control. I lied smoothly. I just need to take care of a few things. I'll be available by email if anything critical comes up. All right. Take the time you need. I ended the call. Family emergency. The words tasted like ash. She had been my family. Now she was the emergency. My next call was to a storage facility I had driven past hundreds of times. Yeah. I need the largest unit you have available. And I need access today. Gave them my credit card information without hesitation. The monthly fee was an investment in my freedom. Then I searched for same-day movers and called the first company with solid reviews. I explained the situation with unsettling calm. It's a one-bedroom apartment. I need everything that belongs to me moved into a storage unit today. 2-hour job. I'll pay the premium. The man on the other end sounded doubtful. And your partner? They're aware. She will be, I added, with a finality that must have convinced him. He booked me for a 2 o'clock slot. Finally came the hardest call. The landlord. Mr. Henderson. Mr. Henderson, it's Leo from 4B. I need to break my lease effective immediately. He let out a tired sigh. Son, you know that'll cost you a 2-month penalty. And I need 30 days notice. I understand the penalty. I'll pay it. Consider today my official notice. I'm moving out today. My girlfriend, Chloe, is the co-signer. You'll need to speak with her regarding her continued tenancy. Today? What in the world is going on over there? The relationship has been terminated, I said, using the cold corporate phrase because it was the only one that fit. I'm removing my belongings and my liability. The rest is between you and the other tenant. I heard him shuffling through papers. Well, I'll need that in writing, along with the penalty fee. You'll have the email within the hour, and the wire transfer by the end of the day. I ended the call. The financial hit would be enormous. It would wipe out my savings. I didn't care. Money could be earned again. My self-respect was a one-time offer, and I was cashing it in. I remained on that bench until it was time. I didn't think about our first kiss in that apartment. I didn't think about the Christmas we spent hanging lights across the living room. I didn't think about the way she'd laugh at my terrible jokes. I thought about floor plans. I thought about square footage. I thought about logistics. At 1:45 p.m., a large truck with city movers painted on the side pulled up outside my building. I met the 2 burly movers at the entrance. Their names were Ray and Marcus. I gave them a brief, emotionless explanation. Everything in this apartment is either mine or ours. You'll only take the items I point out. I'll direct you. We need to move quickly. Ray, the older of the 2, looked at me, then at the apartment door. You sure about this, man? This looks fresh. I've never been more sure of anything, I replied, and I meant it. I unlocked the door. The apartment looked exactly as I had left it. Her coffee mug still sat on the table, half full. The sight should have hurt. Instead, it was just a ceramic mug. Couch. Mine, I said, pointing. TV. Mine. Bookshelf. I built it. Mine. I moved through the apartment like a surgeon performing a precise dissection. I directed them to my clothes, my books, my record collection, and the expensive knife set my grandfather had left me. I took my side of the bed, the good pillows. I left all of her belongings behind in neat, almost pitiful piles. Her stuffed animal from the carnival, her collection of scented candles, her stack of fashion magazines. I left the framed photos of us hanging on the walls. They were artifacts from a dead civilization. The movers worked efficiently, their expressions serious. They understood exactly what this was. This wasn't an ordinary move. It was a domestic extraction. They spoke only when necessary. In less than 90 minutes, the apartment had been hollowed out. It was no longer a home. It was an empty shell containing her possessions, and the ghost of the life we'd built together. The spot where my couch had once sat left a pale rectangle in the carpet. The dust beneath the bed was finally exposed to the light. I made one final walk through the bedroom, then the bathroom, then the living room. I stopped in the kitchen doorway. My eyes settled on the small chip in the granite countertop. The one we made when we dropped a bottle of wine on our very first night there. We had laughed about it, called it our battle scar. Now I looked at it and felt absolutely nothing. It was simply an imperfection in a piece of stone I would never see again. Turned to Ray and Marcus. That's it. Let's go. We drove to the storage facility in silence. I signed the paperwork. They unloaded everything I owned into a 10 by 5 concrete unit. When it was finished, I pulled the rolling door shut and locked it with a satisfying metallic clunk. I was homeless, and I had never felt freer. I climbed into my car, now packed with a suitcase containing only the essentials. Then I pulled out my phone. The screen was empty. No missed calls. No frantic messages. She was still at work. Still oblivious. Probably spending her lunch break swiping through her options. Completely certain her pragmatic little world would still be waiting for her when she got home. For the first time that day, a grim smile crossed my face. I opened a new text. I typed her number from memory. My thumbs moved with slow, deliberate finality. Kept my options open too. Chose the option without you. I pressed send. I watched the message change from delivered to read. I didn't wait for the typing indicator. I opened my settings, found her number, and tapped block this caller. Then I deleted the entire conversation. I started the car and pulled into traffic, heading toward a hotel for the night. The sun was beginning to set, painting the sky with shades of orange and purple. I rolled down the window and let the cool evening air wash over me. It was over, and it was the most pragmatic decision I had ever made. The hotel room was completely generic. A beige box with a king-size bed and a view of the highway. It was perfect. It was anonymous. It carried no history, no memories, no ghosts. I ordered a steak through room service, ate it at the small desk, and slept for 10 straight hours. The sleep of the dead. Or, more accurately, the sleep of the freed. The first tremor came at 8:17 the following morning. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. Unknown number. I knew exactly who it was before I even opened it. Unknown, Leo, what the f***? Where is all our stuff? Are you insane? I pictured her standing inside the hollowed-out apartment, her voice echoing through the empty rooms. The shock, the disbelief. I felt the faintest flicker of something. Not satisfaction. Not yet. Just a cold confirmation. The first domino had fallen. I deleted the message, blocked the number. I spent the rest of the day in a coffee shop with my laptop, completing the wire transfer for the lease penalty, and emailing the formal notice to Mr. Henderson. I was tying up the legal and financial loose ends of my old life with the focus of a project manager, closing out a failed contract. The second tremor came at 11:04 a.m. It was stronger this time. Another unknown number. The landlord called me. You broke the lease. You can't do this. My name is on it too. You've ruined my credit. Answer me. The panic was beginning to take hold. The practical consequences of her situation were finally becoming real. Half the rent. A lease she couldn't afford on her own. A black mark on her credit. None of that had been part of the options she imagined. I deleted the message. Blocked the number. By that evening, the tone had changed. The anger had burned away. Replaced by a desperate, pleading attempt. Another unknown number. Leo, please. I'm sorry. It was a joke. It didn't mean anything. You've completely overreacted. We need to talk about this like adults. A joke. The word was so pathetic it was almost funny. She had pulled out the knife, held it to my throat, and now she was insisting she had only been joking about how sharp it was. I didn't respond. My silence was my answer. It was the only answer she was ever going to get. The karma wasn't limited to her messages. It slowly began filtering through the fractured network of our mutual friends. A few days later, Mike, the one who had originally sent me the screenshot, texted me. Mike, dude, Chloe's telling everyone you had some kind of psychotic break, emptied the apartment, and ghosted her out of nowhere. She's playing the ultimate victim. I replied with a single message. Me. She was on Bumble swiping through guys at our breakfast table. She told me she was keeping her options open. I simply agreed with her strategy. I attached the screenshot he had originally sent me. The original sin. His response came almost immediately. Mike, oh, yeah, that changes the narrative. Jenna's been telling everyone you were emotionally abusive and she was only looking for friends. Wow, this is different. A week later, another message arrived from yet another unknown number. By then, desperation had curdled into a full-blown crisis. Unknown. He was a model, Leo. His profile said he was a model. He only wanted to use my apartment for a photo shoot, and then he ghosted me. The other one asked me for money. This is all your fault. If you hadn't left, I wouldn't be in this mess. I read it twice. The lack of self-awareness was astonishing. Her options were proving to be exactly what any reasonable person would have expected. A parade of flakes. Users. Liars. And somehow, in her mind, it was still my fault for refusing to remain her dependable, pathetic safety net while she chased after them. The irony was almost tangible. I deleted the message. The block button was getting plenty of use. The final, and most satisfying, piece of karma arrived through a voicemail from Mr. Henderson. I listened to it over my car's speaker, while driving to look at a new apartment. Leo, it's Mr. Henderson. Listen, I've spoken with Miss Chloe. She's distraught. She can't afford the apartment on her own and has submitted her 30-day notice. The penalty fee you paid covers the vacancy period, so we're square. I have to say, son, it's a shame. You were a good tenant. She, on the other hand, has been rather difficult. She accused me of conspiring with you. Unpleasant business. Anyway, best of luck to you. I smiled. A real, genuine smile. It was over. The lease had been broken. The final legal connection had been severed. She was being forced out of the life she had taken for granted, and her true nature, the unpleasantness, the blame-shifting, was becoming obvious to everyone, even the landlord. She was alone. Her options had disappeared. Her home was gone. Her reputation among the people who mattered had fallen apart. She was adrift. I was the one who had calmly and methodically cut through the rope she thought had been holding her back, when in reality it had been the only thing keeping her afloat. I pulled into the parking lot of the new apartment building. It was taller, newer. It had a sleek lobby and a view overlooking the river. It was an upgrade in every possible way. I didn't reply to Mr. Henderson. I simply deleted the voicemail. There was nothing left to say. The unraveling was complete. 6 months is a long time when you're rebuilding your life from the ground up. Long enough to find a new apartment with a river view that carried none of her memories. Long enough to earn the promotion to senior project manager. The same promotion she had once mocked as the height of mediocrity. The silence she left behind had become my greatest productivity tool. Most importantly, it was enough time to meet Sophia. We met at a tech conference. She was a UX designer, sharp, witty, and quietly confident in a way that never depended on validation from a dating app. She was an upgrade. Not in the shallow way Chloe would have understood, but in every way that truly mattered. She was a partner, not an option. We were sitting at a rooftop bar known for its expensive cocktails and sweeping views of the city. A skyline. I was wearing a new suit I'd bought for the dinner celebrating my promotion. Sophia wore a simple black dress, laughing at something I'd said, her hand resting lightly on my arm. The world felt solid, real, entirely mine. Then I saw her. Chloe stood near the entrance with a friend I vaguely recognized. She looked smaller than I remembered. Her clothes tried a little too hard, slightly too trendy, slightly too tight. The effortless confidence she had always carried was gone, replaced by visible weariness and tension. Her eyes swept across the room until they landed on me. The shock that crossed her face was immediate and absolute. I watched the calculations unfold behind her eyes in real time. She said something quietly to her friend, who looked over at me with wide eyes. Then Chloe began walking toward our table. Even the way she walked had changed. The confident strut was gone. In its place was a hesitant shuffle. Leo. Wow. I looked up, keeping my expression neutral. Chloe. She gestured vaguely around the room. The view. Fancy place. It is, I replied. Her eyes flicked toward Sophia before returning to me. A flash of pure jealousy crossed her face before she quickly hid it. You look good. Thank you. An awkward silence settled between us. Sophia, perceptive as ever, gently squeezed my arm. I'll go grab us another drink, she said warmly. She stood, offering Chloe a polite but distant smile, before gracefully making her way toward the bar. Her quiet departure was a masterpiece of understated confidence. The moment she was out of earshot, Chloe's posture collapsed. Leo, please. Can we talk? Just for a minute. In private. Her voice was strained. There's no need for privacy, I said. What's on your mind? She glanced nervously toward the bar, where Sophia calmly waited for our drinks. She seems nice. She is. She's exceptional. The word landed exactly as intended. Chloe flinched. So, this is it? You just replaced me, and that's it? The bitterness seeped through her voice. Ugly and unfiltered. I took a slow sip of my whiskey, letting the silence linger. Then I looked at her. Really looked at her. All I saw was a ghost. A remnant of a life I had willingly left behind. I didn't replace you, Chloe, I said calmly, every trace of emotion absent from my voice. I made a different choice. You told me you were keeping your options open. I realized the best option available to me was a life where my partner doesn't feel the need to browse for backups over breakfast. So I took it. I gestured around us. The elegant rooftop, the skyline, the unmistakable evidence of the life I had built. And you were right. It is healthy to see what's out there. I let my gaze drift towards Sophia at the bar, before returning to Chloe. It just took me one day to find it. And it took losing everything for you to see it. Her face turned pale. That was the heart of the tragedy she could never escape. Her punishment wasn't my anger. It was my success. It was the undeniable, visible proof that the moment I exercised my option to leave, my value rose while hers collapsed. You destroyed our lives over one stupid thing, she hissed, her voice cracking as desperation gave way to venom. You ended our relationship with one truthful statement, I corrected, my tone as matter-of-fact as a news broadcast. I simply finalized the paperwork. I saw Sophia walking back toward us, 2 fresh drinks in her hands. Our time is up. If you'll excuse me. My eyes had already moved past Chloe, as though she were nothing more than another piece of furniture in the room. My option is waiting. I didn't wait for a response. I didn't look back. I stood and walked towards Sophia, meeting her halfway. She handed me my drink, her eyes warm with quiet understanding. Everything okay? She asked softly. Better than okay, I replied, and I meant every word. I took her hand, intertwining my fingers with hers. It felt like coming home. As we walked away, I didn't need to turn around to know what expression remained on Chloe's face. The stunned silence, the crushing realization of her own irrelevance. She had come to confront the man she believed she had broken. Instead, she found someone reforged into something stronger, someone she could no longer reach. She had wanted options. And in the end, she became the one option I permanently, and peacefully, left behind. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Let us know in the comments.